If you mashed up The Thing, Dead Space, and Event Horizon, then stretched it to 2 hours, you might get something like Ash. Brutal, stylish, and messy, but was it worth the ride? In Ash, a lone survivor on a remote space station fights to stay alive while uncovering a horrifying transformation. As reality unravels, so does the line between human and monster. So this stars Aaron Paul, that you might know from Breaking Bad and Westworld, and Eliza Gonzalez from Baby Driver and Godzilla vs. Kong. It's also directed by Flying Lotus, a musician turned filmmaker, and the music is by Flying Lotus, experimental ambient horror soundscape. And this is Flying Lotus's first narrative feature following short films and avant-garde horror projects. I'll start with the good. I really dug the visual look of this. It's definitely very dynamic, a lot of bright, saturated colors. That otherworldly feel to it, like a gritty, surreal, dynamic space horror atmosphere. And it does have some striking imagery to it. Also, the third act delivers, I think. It's got a lot of tension and action, and some very brutal, visceral moments that kind of stick with you. And the final boss monster in this movie is pretty gnarly and grotesque, and really showcasing the body horror in this film. It's a mix of like practical and CGI effects, but it looks amazing. It's just pretty wild what they did with that monster. It's kind of like Cronenberg meets Giger. But on the flip side, the third act, it takes a long, boring ass time to get there. The first 2/3 of the movie is just painfully slow, and the thin plot is just stretched so far with all that runtime. It's basically setting up a lot of tension and paranoia, and I don't know, I was drifting away from the story. Yeah, visually dynamic and everything, and what it leads to is, I think, satisfying, but this movie definitely has some major pacing issues. I've seen Aaron Paul and Isa Gonzalez and other things. Of course, I've watched Breaking Bad and Baby Driver, but they felt like oddly flat, and I think it's probably due to the direction rather than the talent, since this is Flying Lotus's first feature film debut. And it doesn't really hold up with the first 2/3 of this movie, their acting. It's just very wooden in a way. And with the visual dynamics, of course, they look different than any other movie, but there are scenes that feel a little too polished and artificial, almost like a video game cutscene, which kind of breaks the immersion. And you can tell that Flying Lotus was really inspired by other films and video games for that fact, which makes it seem pretty derivative. It ends up feeling like a collage of better works without enough new flavor. They have a surgery scene kind of like Prometheus, but done better in Prometheus. Of course, The Thing, that's a lot of people's inspirations for body horror now. Dead Space for sure, and Event Horizon with the cosmic madness. It definitely makes sense because Flying Lotus has said inspiration openly cited as Cronenberg, Ridley Scott, Carpenter, and survival horror video game. Of course, there's themes of isolation and the breakdown of reality, the fear of physical and mental mutation, questioning humanity versus monstrosity under extreme conditions, and cosmic horror. It's like the unknown isn't just terrifying, it's transformative. So I can't really fully recommend Ash. If I was going to give it a score, I'd probably give it a 2 out of 5. It's just, to me, it's like Flying Lotus has Zack Snyder syndrome in a way. He's a great visual artist and musical because the score on here is pretty good. I feel like he would need a better script. Just Zack Snyder's been writing his own stuff and it sucks, but back in the day when he had someone else writing the scripts, they were pretty good movies. And I feel like if Flying Lotus had a solid script, added his visuals, it would be pretty great. As it sits, I would say this is skippable. Maybe fast forward to the third act and check that out because it's actually pretty impressive, some of the stuff they pulled in that final act of the movie. If you're a hardcore sci-fi horror fan or body horror obsessive, then yeah, definitely check it out. But if you're looking for something with a tight pace, great performances, and original narrative, I don't think you're going to get it with Ash. But have you seen Ash? Was it a worthy space horror or just a knockoff? What's your favorite sci-fi body horror movie? I'd love to check it out if I haven't already seen it. Make sure to hit like on this video. It really helps small channels like this. If you want to see more movie reviews like this, subscribe and hit that bell icon so you're notified with new videos. And I'll see you later. Bye.